Welcome to Secure Money Mindset, the ultimate podcast for financial planning tips and strategies. Our episodes are designed to be concise and to the point, lasting no more than 30 minutes. Each episode features seasoned advisors from Secure Planning Group or an outside financial specialist discussing crucial issues and providing actions to consider when addressing your top financial concerns. We value honesty and transparency, meaning we present both the good and the bad news in a clear and concise manner. Our goal is to provide you with reliable insights and practical guidance. Be sure to hit the follow button to stay up to date with our latest episodes. For more information, please visit our website at securepg.net. Let's dive into this week's episode of Secure Money Mindset.
Hi, everyone. I am Alison Pettine, a financial advisor at Secure Planning Group. Thank you for joining us today again on another podcast episode of Secure Money Mindset. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about a holistic approach to financial, legal, and emotional resolution as it relates to divorce. And I am honored to be joined today by two amazing guests. The first one is Cynthia Stein, and the other one is Michael Schreibner. Cynthia is a divorce attorney, and Michael is a mortgage specialist, and I will let them take the stage and do a little bit of background on themselves. So go ahead, Cynthia.
Sure. My name is Cynthia Stein. I am a partner at the law firm Shemtab Dragonoski Taylor Stein, located in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. I am a Pennsylvania licensed attorney, and I practice in the area of family law. I do solely family law, although I do litigation, collaborative, amicable, and mediation as part of my practice.
Great. Thanks, Cynthia. Michael?
Thank you for having me today, Alison. I am Michael Schreibner. I work on the mortgage broker side. I am a certified divorce lending professional, CDLP, and as such, I focus my practice pretty much strictly in the divorce arena. And I have over 30 years, don't want to date myself too bad, of experience in the lending game. And I work for the country's largest mortgage broker, Nexa Mortgage. And I rep over 200 different lenders. And I know which ones I like to call divorce friendly. And if there's ever a mortgage transaction necessary to be involved in a divorce case, that's where I come in.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. And I'm joined by these two lovely individuals today because we are going to be talking about why it's important to have a divorce team and why it's great to have everybody working together to support you as you're going through the divorce process. So, Cynthia, let's start with you. Can you just talk to us a little bit about how you as a divorce attorney work with financial experts like myself and Michael in a divorce case?
Absolutely. So one thing that we all know about divorce is it's complicated. It involves your emotions, it involves your money, it usually involves your house, and everything is kind of on the table. Your children, everything is on the table. And it can be really overwhelming for people. And my role is to guide people through the legal process. But I cannot be all things to all people. And it can be extremely helpful to have other professionals involved when there are financial decisions to be made, especially in complex cases. It can be incredibly helpful to have a financial advisor like Alison to help organize asset charts, do projections for how accounts may go or how long we can expect income to last, and give people a much better sense of where they're going financially than they would have if they didn't have that benefit to them. And with Michael, it can be an incredible advantage to have a mortgage advisor who really understands divorce lending and can help people understand what is going to happen to their house. Will they qualify for financing? Is this a good idea? Is now the right time for them? What can they do to set themselves up for success if they want to keep the house. And that sort of unique advice can come from other professionals. Lawyers don't necessarily fill all of those roles. So I guess let's talk a little bit more about that. I should give you guys a chance to talk too.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Oh,
Thank you, Cynthia. It sounds like you've spoken to me once or twice. You use some of my vernaculars now, which is awesome. So in my world, and I do consider myself a divorce professional that happens to work in the mortgage space, but in my world, very typically in divorce, and by the way, I am somebody who's gone through his own divorce, so I do get it and have been there and done that. Um, but the house is very typically the largest marital asset. And I do find that a lot of times it either gets put on the back burner or, doesn't really get the top billing that a lot of the other things do get in divorce. And I understand it. But it is important. There are essentially three outcomes that happen with the marital home. Either it gets sold and the proceeds are split, or one or the other buys out the other's equity interest in the home. We call that an equity buyout. It is a refinance transaction. And that's where, I come in and my planning comes in. And when I say planning, I like to get involved, and you guys are great at getting me involved early in divorce cases so that we can play all of the what ifs. What if I keep the house? What if I sell and want to buy another house? Um, what if I pay, X dollars to my soon to be ex spouse? Can I afford to do that? Can I comfortably afford to keep the house? And we do all of those things so that, as Cynthia alluded to, we can set the people up for success. And that's really, in my mind, part of the holistic approach of how do we get people comfortably and happily to the other side so that they're okay. And most importantly, that the kids are okay if there's children involved. That in a nutshell is what I do, Alison.
No, that's great. And that just bleeds into really what I do in my specialty as an advisor is helping the client with a lot of things because the finances run through a lot of matters within a divorce. The first thing that we take a look at is their budget, which is always difficult, whether you're going through a divorce or not, right? Taking a look at what you're spending now, what you could be spending in the future, especially on housing, because housing is one of the biggest items in someone's budget, usually in their total budget, right? So we want to figure out how much that is now and in the future. And then taking a look at their assets, their liabilities, as you do that, Michael, and making sure that they understand them, but also making sure they have an idea of those questions that they want answered and making sure they get answered, because there's a lot of fear and concern as it relates to money for people. And it's, will I have enough? Am I going to be able to retire? Am I going to be able to send my kids to college or a particular school? And I help people get and understand the answers to those particular questions and concerns that they have. So that's my role in working with the two of you guys. But Cynthia, can you kind of put a bow on this for us? Do you have any particular examples or best practices as it relates to working in a team?
sure. Yeah. I mean, actually, I think listening to your answers here, I think it's important to highlight that having these additional experts involved in a case can really help people make better decisions. So when we're going through a divorce, it's emotional, and sometimes we might have an emotional attachment to our house because we decorated it, or we might have an emotional attachment to our retirement because we worked so hard for so many years to earn it. And sometimes those emotional attachments don't serve us. So the thing you think you want might not be the thing that is really best for you when you understand the impact of it financially, whether it's a matter of whether you can continue to finance the house, whether it's going to be feasible for you, or whether maybe a different house would be a better decision, or whether, you're going to manage if you hold on to all of that retirement and you don't have enough liquid assets. And so having financial expertise that can run through what do these scenarios look like? I think it was Michael who said all of the what ifs. That's such a great way to look at it. What if I do this? What if I do that? It can help people make decisions that better guide them so that they aren't. I think we all have this. I know I personally sometimes feel this way. The person you're fighting with wants something and your inclination is to fight against that because that's just, I think, a normal human inclination. And it isn't always your best move. Sometimes it is, but not always. And I think it's good to understand that a little bit better. That way, when people understand this, then they can come to me and they know what they want. And I can then try to position them to get it and talk about the legal ways that we might be able to do things and the trade-offs that might be worthwhile to them or not. And if we need to go back to you as professionals to ask questions, because I know we've done it before, you're always there to answer the questions. And I think it just helps people have a more reasonable, guided experience that gets them to the place they need to be.
Cynthia,
Yeah, that's.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you raise a couple great points. And Allison and I actually talk about this all the time of trying our best to take the emotion out of some of these hard decisions, especially financial decisions, because that is the reality. And people going through divorce, are already in an emotional pressure cooker, whatever you want to call it. And what they don't need is more pressure to be added on. And I think that's where, us kind of collaborating together takes a lot of that out of the equation, so that when Allison and I get involved and talk people through kind of our sides of the equation, then they're much more educated and empowered when they go to Cynthia, exactly as she just said, to now I have a pretty good idea what I want. I have a pretty good idea what I can do. And that's a lot softer, I think, than all of the, craziness of, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to afford this? How can I keep the house? Where are my kids going to live? All of those things that certainly are emotional.
Absolutely. So, in summary, it sounds like it's just really important to have that team on board and have each of us as our specialties, or using ourselves in our specialties to help somebody that's going through the divorce process, because it is challenging, it is emotional, and all the above. So let's each just go real quick. Michael, you can start. What's the number one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's going through a divorce as it relates to you as a mortgage specialist?
I would say pretty easily my number one thing is consider the house early and get someone like me involved as early as possible, so that you can get educated as to what your options are, and then you can work through what your realities are of what you can and can't do. And that's pretty powerful stuff. And as you work through the process, it's a lot easier when you know that you're quote unquote pre-approved for whatever it is you intend to ultimately agree to.
Very well said. Cynthia?
I would say when selecting an attorney in particular, don't expect the attorney to know everything and all of the answers. They should know the law, clearly, but working with someone who is willing to work on a team, and you will find that not all lawyers are, but it can be helpful to the people if their lawyer is willing to work on a team. And I would also, a little off of the team advice, but I just have to say this, is don't look for a lawyer who solves every single problem by going to the courthouse. It It is quite often the most expensive and least effective way to resolve things. Do you have to go to court sometimes? Yes, you do. But if you can resolve things without going to court, you can often have a lot more opportunity to create a situation that's better for yourself and spend less money. So having a team and having an attorney who is flexible to work with a team and work in modalities other than litigation, I think can be a real positive.
Well said, Cynthia. And from a financial advisor standpoint, as it relates to your money and your divorce, I always recommend that you get organized first and foremost and understand your financial picture, whatever that may be, and seek professional guidance early on. And you really want to consult with somebody that understands the divorce process and the finances as it relates to divorce, because it is different from planning for retirement or education or aging. So just to understand that there is a little bit of a nuance there as it relates to the divorce process and your financial picture. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been awesome. We've shed so much insight to the audience, and thank you for tuning in. Again, holistic approach to financial, legal, and emotional resolution. So if you're going through a divorce right now, know that you're not alone. Feel free to reach out to Cynthia or Michael or myself if you have any questions. So Michael and Cynthia, real quick, we'll start with Cynthia. Can you just repeat how our audience might be able to contact you if they have any questions?
Sure. So my name is Cynthia Weiss Stein. You can find me online. My law firm, I'm not going to try to spell it for you, is Gemtob Dragonoski Taylor Stein in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. And you can look me up online. You can reach me through my website. You can call me on the phone, 215-542-2105. Happy to help in any way I can.
And Michael?
All I remember from that is the Stein. So I know Cynthia is really important and in all seriousness, an amazing, amazing attorney. So again, I work for Nexa Mortgage, and my direct telephone number is 610-716-5541. You can email me also. It's mcmortgage, the numeral 4, mcmortgage4@gmail.com. And Alison, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Until next time, take care.